Jeremiah 49:10. I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Awashai Ba'ashem B'Karkwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Double honors unto the elder bishops of Connecticut. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners that look like the heathen nations, and to the Akwath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And there was a video that I watched, and it was called KKK Infiltrated Cops, Military, and Prison Guards in Domestic America, exposed by FBI informant. And it was a shorter version of the 7-minute, 52-second video that you see at the top, which for informational, educational purposes, I suggest that you watchers out there, you learners, you Israelites, watch it, because it is just an expose on how every facet of this country, from the courtrooms to the law enforcement to the military, everything is against you. Because it not only infiltrated, law enforcement, but you see it says how they infiltrate the military. It says here, if you come up, how white supremacists infiltrated the military, experts take. So every facet of America is affected by this. So the game is rigged, and what makes them angry is that even with all this cheating and all these things set in place, they still couldn't keep control over their women and over their country. They've lost it and they're angry. And with all the bad things that are about to happen, that anger is going to be turned towards Jake very, very soon. But the Lord is going to put a spirit on Jake. And these Idumeans, they've already lost. They're gonna this time they're gonna lose quite badly this time. All right, but I just want to get into some scriptures, mainly from the book of Baruch, because we've been on punishment with the Lord for our iniquities, and the Lord has been punishing us, and the good news is that our punishment is nearly up. Okay, but this is Baruch, starting at the 2nd chapter, and I'm gonna read verses 1 through 5, and it reads, "Therefore, the Lord hath made good his word, which he pronounced against us and against our judges that judged Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against our men of Israel and Judah," meaning both the northern and southern kingdom, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and of course that are scattered among the rest of the heathen nations. All right, but this was particularly talking about the northern and the southern kingdom. "To bring upon us great plagues such as never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that were written in the law of Moses, that a man should eat the flesh of his own son and the flesh of his own daughter." And unfortunately, that portion of the punishment isn't up yet. All right, because that's really something that's reserved for the 2/3 who are already, because if you're being eaten, if you're on that menu, and a lot of these young people and these youth and these babies that are being born, these toddlers, are going to be on that menu in the upcoming weeks and months, as time begins to count down before the food runs out, before the food shortages. And that's judgment for all these people that's going to happen to. All right? Unfortunately for them. Moreover, he have delivered them to be in subjection to all kingdoms that are round about us, to be as a reproach and a desolation among all people round about, where the Lord hath scattered them. That's why we were so mistreated in the places where we are, called niggers and spiggers and savages, and and you get this what Indian means, savage, and all manner of horrible names. Thus we were cast down and not exalted, because we have sinned against Yahweh our power, and have not been obedient unto his voice. So that was the punishment. And guess what? These same Idumeans that led this oppression against us back then are the same ones who are leading it against us today. The very same ones. All right. Let's go to Isaiah 42. Okay, because you fast forward. This is Isaiah 42 and 22. And they have our people all jammed up in this crooked legal system, which is also infiltrated and just simply full of hateful Idumeans that rule over us with unrighteous decrees. And that's why they rolled us off to prisons and get free labor from us. And, they have people sitting in jail that are not even violent offenders, just have you sitting in jail for year after year after year, making money off of you. But this is Isaiah 42 and 22. And this is also how you know that these Israelis, I had a conversation with an Israeli today, a pretty good one too, but how this isn't them. Because a lot of them have stocks. A lot of them are part of a lot of the lawyers and judges that are involved in this crooked system that railroads our people off to the prisons. So how can you be the oppressor and the victim? You can't be both. All right. And that's clearly not happening to them. So they can't. So they don't fit this prophecy. And this is a prophecy of the condition of Judah, of Israel. It says, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes. They are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. Because how many stories how it's like every other week, every other month, there's a story comes out about some Negro, Latino, or Native American who gets out of prison because of DNA that exonerates them 10, 15, 20, 40 years later. It's like every other month, stories like that surface, man. And it's thousands upon thousands that this happens to, especially those who got locked up in the 70s and the 80s. All right. And then they have DNA that exonerates them. But you spent, multiple decades in prison. You can't get that back. And in those cases, everyone who was involved in them going to jail needs to go and serve the same time. Because guess what? If they did that, you wouldn't have all these false judgments and railroadings happening. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it gets found out that someone was railroaded to jail, that evidence proves that they were innocent. And after being locked up decades, the jury, the judges, and everybody that's involved in the process should actually have to do time or make some form of restitution to those individuals. That would be righteous. That would be fair. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But let us continue. Let's go back to Baruch 2, and I'm going to go to verse 30. And it reads, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. So that's prophecy that the Israelites in their captivities will remember themselves, meaning there has to be a captivity that come where the Israelites, didn't know who they were. And all the captivities in the Bible, they knew who they were in the past. That's another thing that kills the whole notion that the Israelis, the people in the land of Israel, are the people of Israel, are the true Israelites. All right, because according to them, they've always known who they were, which makes them not fit up to prophecy, because the prophecies tell you in multiple places by multiple prophets that they would be cut off from their heritage, that they wouldn't know them, who they were. We just read that they would have to remember themselves in their captivity, which means there had to be systems put in place, like some of the said ones we've mentioned that we see on the screen, that would erase their heritage and their history. You know? Um, verse 31. And shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I will give them a heart and ears to hear. Heart meaning mind. All right? And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name. All right? So that's how we now know the true name of the Lord. That is not Jehovah. It's not Jesus. That the letter J is a newly created letter. Only a couple hundred years old. Well, going back to the 1500s. And the Lord walked the earth, 1,500 years prior to that. And his name was not Jesus. And the Lord and God's name, who the world ignorantly calls God, was not Jehovah. They were Hebrews. All right? And the J was a Yah sound. All right? If you do your diligent research. Even in Spanish, the J has a Yah sound. All right? And it says, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, and they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord. Didn't say they remember the way of their mothers, of their fathers, all right? And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. All right? So they won't need an Air Force, an Iron Dome, and billions of dollars of welfare annually from America. All right? And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, and be their power, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people out of Israel, out of the land I have given them. All right? Point blank period, man. Let's go to Baruch 4. Verses 1 through 6. And it reads, this is the book of the commandments of God and the law that endure forever. All that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die, proving that the laws was never done away with. All right? Turn thee, O Jacob, not all people, and take hold of it and walk in the presence of the light thereof, and thou mayest be illuminated. Give not thy honor to another, nor things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation. The other nations have nothing to do with this. This is why Zerubbabel and the other elders forbid the other heathens to build with them doing the building of the temple. When they were under the captivity of Elam, of Xerxes, Darius. All right? O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to God are made known unto us. Be of good cheer, my people. The memorial of Israel. See, because Israel was cut off from their heritage. And now we're being made known. We're coming to learn our heritage and our true high holy days. Not Christmas, Halloween, and Easter. Those are pagan, holidays. Okay? Ye were sold to the nations. So when was the Israeli sold to the nations? I had a conversation with an Israeli today, as I said. I also rode the bus earlier with the rabbi. He was never sold to the nations. As a matter of fact, when you do your diligent research, you find out that a lot of Jewish people, a lot of Spanish Jews were the owners of many of the slave ships. The good ship Jesus, which is, if I'm not mistaken, was the first slave ship to come to to America and drop off Israelites out of West Africa, refugees from West Africa, because that wasn't their homeland, here in the Americas. And that ship, Jesus, was owned by a Jewish guy, Jewish owners. That you can research that history on your own. All right, you were sold to the nations not for your destruction, but because you moved God to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemies. So the Israelites were sold unto their enemies, which set up what? Government, schools, colleges, places of learning, places of commerce, etc., etc. The same in the ancient world, the same to now. And the same people. And the head of that was always Amalek, The Lord said he would have war with Amalek from generation to generation. All right. I mean, that it's just what it is. All right. Now let's go to and in that history is shameful, you know. Unto what does it say in Habakkuk? Shameful spewing shall be upon their glory. You see, they were proud of this hate, you know, of all this Klan activity. You know, and even the guy in the video said that they always, you know, on an open mic say how they're a peaceful organization, but in secrecy, all they do is plan violence against Israelites and other people. And their history proves that. The actions and the things that they've done. The hundreds of thousands of hangings and burnings and dismemberments that was done right here in America. And none of these Klansmen were going to jail for it either. The courts were not, these same courts were not sentencing these men to prison or to death for their crimes. Okay? But let's jump up to, we're still in Baruch 4, let's jump up to verse 25. And it reads, "My children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from God, for thine enemy have persecuted thee, but surely thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. My delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto God. For ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you." See, that's how they got dominion over us, because the Lord brought us down. Because they're weaker, they're slower, they're not as strong. They don't have the sex drive, the inches in the rod, the sperm count. They had none of that. All right, so it was divine intervention that got them the dominion over us. All right, it was prophesied, so it had to happen. And now the reverse is happening. That manifest destiny part 2, they didn't read the fine print. "For as it was your mind to go astray from God, so being returned, seek him 10 times more." And we're seeking him hard. That's why we make ourselves a living sacrifices and now targets for teaching his truth. "For he that hath brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy with your salvation. Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Miserable are they that afflict thee and rejoice at thy fall." And these Idumeans here in America are miserable. All right? Because they did rejoice at our fall. But now miserable are they. Because they see their beloved America, the old glory, is being, you know, pissed upon and pissed away. "Miserable are the cities which thy children serve. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning." The mirth is gone in America. These people are miserable, and they're all in fear of the next lockdown. All right? Texas and Florida will not be able to hold. And now they're trying to put an attack on all the red states and not give them the rental refuge. All right? So now they're trying to take away the rental refuge from the red states now. Okay? So this civil war is going to come. That Israelis I was talking to was talking about how all the Israeli Americans are buying guns and food to prepare for the civil war and all the chaos, the race riots and everything that's going to happen, man. He was telling me that, all right? "For fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time." And now that time has come to an end. Call halal Yahweh by Shanawashai by Shimba Kakwadash. Wa Ababa Bal Kwam Yasharala Shalom.